All right, welcome in. It is Show Pony Live. We are here, the brand new podcast on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. I'm getting my lighting situation figured out. It's like all dark and gloomy and awful in Nashville, and I got the damn glare coming off my glasses, and I was fumfering around like an absolute moron for, I don't know, a good 30 minutes, and I just could not figure out how to get the glare out of my eyes. So maybe if I lean forward or something like that, I don't know. But great to have you today. Welcome to the very second live show that I've ever done here on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. So I guess we're live on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and then it goes on Substack after that. Then it goes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. So if you miss anything at all, make sure you check it out. Just go over to Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcast and make sure you link up with us there for Show Pony Live. If you missed any of the show when you're watching it on YouTube or anything like that, great to have you. As always, I'm wiggling my nose. I've been sneezing all day. The allergies have been absolute hell. It's got to be the same for you. I mean, if you live, Nashville's like this dust bowl from hell, which it sucks, man. Like things kind of hover in the air. They don't leave because of the valley. And so if you have allergies, like I grew up in Chicago, I was cool. No problem at all. I moved to Nashville, and like the first couple of years, I was okay. And then things just kind of took a turn for the worse. It was not so good. If you want to comment during the show, feel free. I got the comments page up. So if you want to go ahead and interact, would love to hear from you. Again, you can always get to me. Email me at showponysportsmedia@gmail.com. You can always tweet me at Childers Radio, all the different ways to hook up. So let's discuss. And the big breaking news within the last couple of hours. And this was reported by Pete Thamel. And listen, to me, this was nothing but a matter of time. This is a basketball headline. The NCAA has initiated the final steps to expand the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournaments to 76 teams. The expansion is on track to be formalized in the upcoming weeks, with mid-May as the target. The 76-team tournament begins next year. Next year, we're going to be at 76, from 64 to 68 to 76. 76 trombones. It's like the Music Man in Harold Hill. Now, I understand there's going to be many of you that say, why is this happening? What the hell is going on? Why is this a necessary thing? Why are we expanding the tournament? Isn't it good at 64? Haven't we taken away a lot of the parity anyway? Isn't that kind of the deal anyway? We've kind of taken away the magic because of the transfer portal, because of the fact that, I mean, you can't have a Middle Tennessee knocking off Michigan State anymore as a 15-2. You're not going to have a Maryland, Baltimore County beating Virginia anymore as a 16-1. Fairleigh Dickinson, Purdue will not happen anymore. Why? Because those damn kids are not going to stay at those schools anymore. Why? Money. Money. It's that simple. Rick says this all the time. The answer is money. Now, what's the question? The answer to everything is money. And once you accept that and learn that, yes, a bit of your soul will die. Yes, a bit of the fact that you thought there was pureness and beauty in this world gets killed. But it starts to have everything make a little bit more sense. Things get a little bit more clear when you understand that everything's about money. So why are they expanding to 76? Why is this a thing? Why is this going to happen? Let me tell you something. Have you been following the news? Have you been seeing what's been going on in this world since, what was it? June 21st, 2021. June 21st, 2021, That was the Alston ruling. Commit that date in your brain, because that's the day the music died for the NCAA. That's the day everything changed, and that's the day they started getting just drilled. I'm talking drilled by lawsuits. The NCAA was living fat on the hog. They were reeling money in from the NCAA tournament. They were selling it at a premium. Ratings were through the roof. They were able to be the kings of amateurism. They pocketed all the money to themselves. The schools were making money hand over fist. They are the NCAA. The presidents are the NCAA. And on the backs of these athletes who didn't see a dime outside of their scholarship, they were getting rich, fat, and happy, which is a great business model if you can keep it up for as long as you can. Here's the problem. They were called on their shit, weren't they? And it all blew up. And now they are hemorrhaging money. I'm talking about like they cannot keep going like this, hemorrhaging money. I'm talking about the fact that they are getting sued out the yin-yang, and it's been happening left and right. It's constantly happening. They just keep getting sued. So, why did Pete Thamel tweet this today? That we're about to expand? That we're going to 76 teams? The answer is money. They need it. They don't have any. They're spending it on lawyers. They're spending it on settlements. They're spending it on lawsuits. They're spending it on all of that crap. They don't have any money. They've sacrificed it all because they were greedy, ignorant, and arrogant douchebags before. This was obvious. This was coming down the pike. This was inevitable for this to have happened. This was inevitable. We were going to have this happen. And we'll talk about this tomorrow on Full Ride. Listen to Full Ride every day, Sirius XM, 9 o'clock Eastern time until noon. It's me. It's Rick Neuheisel. We break down all this stuff, and Rick will make it very clear that this is about money, as it always is. He'll say the answer is money. Now, what's the question? The NCAA tournament is the cash cow. It is the cash cow. That's what brings in 90% of the revenue. If you've ever been to Indianapolis, Indiana, and you've seen the NCAA headquarters there on the water, gorgeous. Taj Mahal. Beautiful. How did they build that so many years ago? The tournament, March Madness, the love of the upset, the love of the Final Four. They built a massive, just beautiful, functioning business model where they kept it all to themselves. And it was a great way to do business. It really was. It was fantastic until it wasn't. And now we got some issues on our hands, don't we? Brandon Miller says the NCAA headquarters is a ghost town now, which is incredible because it used to be this beautiful, vibrant, functioning Taj Mahal. Gorgeous. I mean, I could picture it in my head right now when it was alive. It kicked ass, man. It was the place. You walked up to the NCAA headquarters, you were like, whoa, these guys know what they're doing. They did because they were stealing money from kids and getting away with it. But now they're getting their ass sued so much. That's why this is happening. That's why they're going to expand to 76. If you want to know, because nobody's asking for this. Nobody wants a bigger tournament. Nobody's like, oh my God, please, for the love of God, give me more. No. The only reason they are doing this is because they can pay for more lawsuits, pay for more litigation. That's the why here. That's the why. All right. Let's talk Brendan Sorsby. So we got into this a little bit yesterday. I saw a tweet from Ross Dellinger earlier from Yahoo that said Brendan Sorsby's eligibility is at risk based on precedent and policy. The NCAA stands to permanently ban him, but questions linger. What are the next steps in the process? Will this end in court? And did Cincinnati know? Now, The Athletic today is reporting that, in fact, yes, they did know. They absolutely knew. So how culpable is Cincinnati here? B, who blew the whistle? And C, Brendan Sorsby's college career is probably over. Look at what happened to Hunter Decker at Iowa State. Hunter Decker was a good football player. Hunter Decker was a starter, and Hunter Decker's college football career ended. He's now playing in the United Football League, praying for a chance, praying for a resurrection. But here's the deal, man. The fact of the matter is the NCAA is probably not going to let this kid play again. We know the rules. We know betting is faux pas. So then what happens to Kansas State? They spent a fortune on this kid. Brendan Sorsby was a multi-million-dollar baby to go fix their quarterback position because in the Orange Bowl against Oregon, they could not move the damn football. They put up a goose egg in that game. So Sorsby was the number one prospect, the number one guy in the transfer portal, numero uno, to fix things. They got a great defense. They have an incredible offensive line. They got a running game that is stout. They bring back their leading rushers. This team is actually built to run the ball and built to play great D. But Sorsby was going to be that elite difference maker quarterback for them to lead them to a national title. Now the chances are, I don't think he ever plays college football again. He's probably going to end up in the NFL via the supplemental draft. Whereas yesterday, I read you a mock draft that had him in the top 10 going to the freaking Colts at number 8. It's insane how far this guy has fallen. But that's where we're at right now. It's the world. His career in college football is likely over. He's probably not going to play college football ever again. And you know what it is, too? And here's what pisses me off. It's just because the kid's a dumbass. The kid's an idiot. That's what this comes down to. The kid is dumb. He's stupid. He's a young kid who got caught up with all the gambling apps and all the commercials and billboards, and we're bombarded with it nonstop. Let's not be hypocritical, and let's not call this kid a bad kid. He's like the rest of us that see these apps and these money lines and this betting, and we're like, yeah. Now, they always tell us, well, the players can't bet. Okay, but how confusing is it right now? And he never bet on himself. He never bet on a game that he played in. I just think he's an idiot. And he was betting small bets on baseball and balls and strikes. He just had the damn bug. He had the betting bug. And now he's going to ruin his entire career over it potentially. He's going to cost himself millions of dollars. I mean, God, maybe upwards of $20+ million just for being a stupid kid. And I know there's consequences for our actions. I get it. You do something dumb, you got to pay the price. But, I mean, it's just like I said yesterday, it's like taking a piece of cake. I'm fat, right? Look at these jiggly jugs I got. So it's like putting a big piece of black cake in front of me. Big chocolate, delicious cake and say, hey, tub ass, you see that cake? Give it a smell. Now don't eat it. And just stare at it. Well, guess what? I'm going to eat the damn thing. So do I think Brendan Sorsby's this awful human being? Do I think he's a crook? No. And Rick and I talked about this today. He's just stupid. We got into this today on Full Ride. We had Chris Vanini on. If you missed it, go on the app and check it out on SiriusXM. We also had the guy from RedRaidersports.com, Chris Level. In fact, I'll play a little bit of his conversation that we had with him in just a second because it was a fascinating conversation. And the fact of the matter is, Texas Tech's the reason this got out. They got out in front of us. I guess they learned about a week and a half ago that this was going to happen. Somebody ratted him out. The NCAA knew something. And so the kid went and checked himself into rehab, and they're the ones getting out in front of this. And I guess they're going to fight tooth and nail to see if Sorsby can play. Now, I wouldn't bet on that being reality. So then the question is, who is the quarterback going to be? What is going to happen? We had Chris Level from Red Raider Sports, who's also a radio analyst for Texas Tech down there in Lubbock. We asked him, so what's going to happen now at quarterback on Full Ride today? And here's what he said.
You know, Will Hammond hurt his ACL last October. He had surgery in early November. He is the future of this program. He's a big-time recruit. People saw glimpses of him last year. He beat Utah. He started the game against Arizona State. It wasn't his best game, but this is a redshirt sophomore that was a big-time player, and I think he's a dual threat and all the things, and I think he's probably in line to start the next 2 years after this coming season. So he's got 3 years of eligibility left.
So it looks like Will Hammond, whenever he gets healthy, they feel great about him for the future. It's not like they're barren at quarterback, but Will Hammond is hurt right now. Will Hammond is struggling. Will Hammond is not going to be ready for the beginning of the year, which means they're probably going to play a kid by the name of Kirk Francis. Kirk Francis is likely going to be the guy who ends up playing because Sorsby's probably not. And even if Sorsby finds a way somehow to beat this, he's probably still going to miss a little bit of time. And if Will Hammond isn't ready to go early, guess what? Guess what? It's going to be a kid by the name of Kirk Francis, who's a 4-game starter from Tulane, who's an insurance policy. I mean, Kirk Francis transferred in knowing damn well what the deal was. Kirk Francis knew exactly what the deal was. He's a backup, but now he's going to be called on to kind of keep Texas Tech going. And again, they got the run game. They got the offensive line. They've got a stout defense. They're going to be okay. But losing a guy like Brendan Sorsby, to me, takes them from national title contender. And now they're just kind of floating. Could they still get to the playoff? Sure. Could this team make it to the playoff? I don't think there's any question about it. They have that potential. They have that ability to do exactly that because of their defense. We just saw David Bailey go number 2, Jacob Rodriguez, and they've replenished that side of the football beautifully. Remember, they got double eagle energy. They got those big oil baron guys, Cody Campbell and John Sellers, that are spending a fortune on their roster. It's not unlimited, as Level told us today on Full Ride, but it's a pretty fat chunk of change. It's pretty substantial money. So now, again, I think for the future, they feel really good about Will Hammond. Will Hammond was a high recruit. Will Hammond's a guy they had to fight for. They had to pay handsomely for. The kid wanted to go to Lubbock. It seems to be a good marriage there with Will Hammond. But that wasn't the plan. And they put together, and I know they're in battle mode right now. They're in their own war room. Cody Campbell's the chairman of the board of trustees. He's figuring out a way to fix this. The other thing that's wild is Cincinnati, the Athletic is reporting that Cincinnati knew. So if they knew that he bet at Indiana, if they knew he was betting, and they were trying to keep him there. They were trying to make sure he didn't transfer. They were trying to do everything that they humanly could. And now they're trying to enforce the $1 million buyout with him. But Cincinnati, could they get into some serious trouble here? I bet you they could. They knowingly played a guy who's ineligible. I know we're playing it. Listen, this is a lawless society. There's no freaking rules anymore. We're sitting here. This is why I'm depressed every freaking day. Honest to God, this is why I sit here and I wake up and I'm nowhere near as energetic as I used to be in my 20s. In my 20s, I woke up, I had hope. I had all this potential in my heart. I thought the world was this place that, beauty existed. And it does to a certain degree. But there's also a lot of sleaze. There's a lot of scum. There's a lot of people that are backdooring, that are only care about money. I mean, it's just insanity. But at Cincinnati, it seems like they knowingly played a kid that was ineligible. So what's going to happen to him? I know the NCAA is seemingly useless now. I get that. I know that. I recognize that. But this could be one of those things that, hey, betting is a little different than paying for players. The faux pas is a little extra. And so you got to pay a price, period. You got to pay a price for it. And it's not going to be good. Very curious what's going to happen there at Cincinnati. All right. Our boy signed today. Diego Pavia, 3-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. You say what you want about Pavia. Much has been said. I talked about it yesterday. I'm just curious now, what's going to happen to Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt's entire stock, their entire reputation has risen significantly because of that guy. Because of him. Diego Pavia took that program. They beat Alabama 2 years ago. They carried the goalpost into the Cumberland River, and Vanderbilt's program changed overnight. And it's not only their football program, their basketball program, dude, it's insane. You go to Vanderbilt games now, the entire game experience is night and day from what it was. It's completely different. They've changed everything. It's a good experience now. It's not like going to a dumpy, disgusting, gross stadium. The football stadium's been redone. It looks beautiful. It really does. They've done an incredible job with that football stadium. It looks absolutely freaking gorgeous. The basketball arena, they've done a nice job with the video screens and the game day experience. It's just a good place to see a game now. And for years, it was terrible. And Diego Pavia, I mean, build a statue for the guy. You could hate him. You could think he's a punk. You could think he's a bitch. You could be glad that he wasn't drafted by the NFL. You could compare him to Shedeur Sanders and do all that you want. I don't care. I said my piece on it yesterday. I just think it's because he's undersized that he didn't get drafted in the NFL. But Vanderbilt is going with a non-Diego Pavia guy at quarterback. They're going with Jared Curtis. Jared Curtis is a different dude, man. Jared Curtis is a 5-star. Jared Curtis is a Nashville native, but Jared Curtis is a statue. He's a pro-style kid. He's a big-armed, strong, kid, but he's a guy that he's not going to get out there. Diego Pavia was magic because of his damn legs. When things broke down, he could escapability, the ability to run. Diego Pavia was that guy. He was the kind of guy that when defensive coordinators had to sit there and game plan for the guy, they would go nuts. They didn't know what to do because he could improvise when things break down. They'd go insane. I get it. Diego Pavia made a lot of teams in the SEC look stupid. He made Alabama look stupid a couple of years ago. Nick Saban came in talking about how Vandy's the worst place to play and they suck and it's easy to win and blah, 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 blah. And what ended up happening, Nicholas? That was Nick's last game against Vanderbilt, and his last game was an L. And it completely changed things. It completely changed things in Vanderbilt. And now Vandy's just like, it is a program that is just kind of blowing up overnight. Hey, want to remind everybody, Show Pony University. See that little QR code in the corner there? Show Pony University starting next Wednesday. It is a 4-week-long class. I am going to teach you how to do sports media. I'm going to teach you how to podcast. I'm going to teach you how to do radio. I'm going to teach you how to do an organized show that people want to listen to. All these people want to get a microphone. It drives me insane, and I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I promise you, click the damn thing, sign up. It's $100 a week. It's a 4-week class, and you are going to get a better education that I swear than you would get by paying like $60,000 at a university. I'm going to give you actual nuance because I've been doing this for 20 years now. So sign up, go to showponymedia.com or just click that QR code, and easiest way to do it. In fact, the other day I had Steve Cohen on with me. Steve Cohen is he's the guy that used to run SiriusXM Sports. So he was the head of sports. He was my boss for, I don't know, a long time. It felt like 17 years or something like that. And I love Steve. I thought Steve was incredibly thoughtful. I thought he was, really good at leading a big department. And what I thought he did great, he cared about the actual art of broadcast. I care about broadcast. I fell in love with it as a kid. Radio to me is this romantic, cool thing. It was invented all these years ago, and they found a way to take a person's voice and transmit it through the air. And it became this incredible thing for travel, for, warnings, for weather, for all kinds of things. And back before television, you'd sit around and listen to Jack Benny Show and Fibber McGee and Molly and Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy. I used to study these old radio shows. You'd have actors in a sound studio, and they would record these live plays with sound and put them on the radio. These incredible shows like these, multi-talent shows and all that kind of stuff that they would do. And it was the theater of the mind. Remember Little Orphan Annie and Ralphie in The Christmas Story? Think about that, right? That image in your head. Think about how cool that is. So to me, as I was growing up in the 80s, 90s, I loved radio. And then sports talk radio comes around. And these incredible, voices were able to give these passionate opinions and entertain the hell out of me as a kid. And I fell in love with it. But here's what's so weird about it now. The career that I dreamt of having, which was sports talk radio host and or TV news guy, that's not what people are doing anymore. I went to Middle Tennessee State and spoke to a class a couple weeks ago, and all they talked about was digital media, which is great, but aren't we losing some of the art of broadcast? I know there's a lot of quantity out there, but what's happened to quality? Here's what Steve Cohen said with me on Mad Dog Radio. This is courtesy of SiriusXM.
Now there's a lot of garbage out there, especially in the digital media, because who's teaching these people how to broadcast? Who's doing air checks for them? Something we started at SiriusXM a long time ago. We do these meetings with producers and hosts and all that, and we do these boot camps. In fact, we did it for the NFL Broadcasters Boot Camp. They brought us in along with networks, and we go down to NFL Films and teach current and former players about broadcasting, right? So I think teaching has gone by the wayside in many digital mediums.
It has. Broadcasting was an art, being a good broadcaster, being a good journalist, and it's been completely attacked. Now, here's what I think has happened. First of all, technology exploded. I always look at the 90s and early 2000s as the sweet spot for technology. If you think about your life, if you're a certain age, you probably think of the 90s, and that time is like the happiest time in your life. And I call that the crossroads. That's when we had just enough technology where our lives were easy and we had convenience from what they were in the 50s, 60s, and prehistoric time, pre-industrial revolution, like 90s, we had it rocking, but it wasn't so much technology that the world was made what it is now via social media. So it was kind of that sweet spot. And back in the day, remember how much priority was put on quality. When you watched a movie, the quality of the cinematography, the beauty of the art that you were watching, the television show. Now you're watching me on YouTube and my lighting is terrible. I got these big splotches in my eyes. I'm going to get that fixed for tomorrow, by the way. I got to go buy a light. If anybody knows what I should have because I'm a dope, please email me at showponysportsmedia@gmail.com. I think a normal ring light should be okay, but I don't know. I'm a 43-year-old middle-aged doofus. So if you don't mind letting me know what I need to get rid of these glare, or comment. Do we have comments? What do I have right now? Let's see. Chris, I love radio too, but is SiriusXM moving to more pod-based programming? Also tough to make a living in sports media when many will do pods and brand themselves as insiders for free. It is hard. See, that's the thing, Brandon. I grew up in an era where being on ESPN was the dream. That was the dream. You wanted to go to Bristol. That was the goal, right? And nowadays, you just have all these different people. And I still think the cream rises to the crop. Not that I'm the greatest radio host in the world, but I know that I'm better than most people that have a microphone in front of them because I've done this since I was a kid. I understand the actual, there is a skill set to this. And again, I will teach you how to do this. Just go to show, click on that QR code. We're going to be doing this starting next Wednesday, $100 a week. Not a big deal. I promise you the education value well beyond what I'm going to be charging you for it. What else do we got here? Doug Hall. Always love the passion and excitement. Thank you, Doug. Love you too, man. Keep it up. Appreciate that. Here you guys can always get to me on the comment section here, which is cool about this program that I'm using. Because if you tweet me or YouTube or Instagram, it somehow magically shows up, which is pretty incredible on this deal. But it just drives me nuts that we've gotten to a point where quality has been sacrificed. And I love it. I'm one of those guys. Like, I went to Paramount and Warner Brothers over the fall time. I was there for a wedding in California, and then I went for the Rose Bowl. So I went to a couple different studios. And how much goes into a professional television show, from the sound, and like if there's, somebody's walking and they have a little room and they're like, doing the little things, or like, a pill bottle, the shake and rattle, like there's a rattlesnake. There's so many little things that they do to put that beautiful product on screen. The use of sound stages and the use of, backlots and all kinds of different things. It's pretty damn remarkable. But to me now, it's just all about put crap out there. All the influencers, they just put all this stuff out there, and quality has been sacrificed. And like Steve Cohen said, who's teaching people how to broadcast? Well, guess what, Steve? I will. Click on the QR code and I'll do it starting next Wednesday. Hey, yesterday I talked about how I loved that Carson Beck was going to the Cardinals, and I tried to play that video clip and I screwed it up. I think I got it to work. The GM of the Cardinals, I just think Monty Ossenfort, and I might have misspelled his name on the clip, so forgive me, but Monty Ossenfort has done an incredible job here. He got Jeremiah Love, the best player in the draft, at running back at number 3, and then got a quarterback that I think will be a beautiful fit. But here's what he said.
There was no shortage of tape to evaluate on Carson. Carson's played a lot of ball, and so, banked a lot of reps. I think really Carson played in a lot of big game environments, played in a lot of intense environments in the SEC.
He sure did. And to me, the fact that guy's played in so many big games, that he's played against so many great defenses, he's going to give you a chance to like go in and play well right away. Not just play, like go in and make a difference. Who's to say the Cardinals can't be drastically better? Kyler Murray, he wasn't it. And he has a unique skill set, and they're moving completely away from a Kyler Murray, because I think Carson Beck immediately becomes the favorite to win that job. The one that I'm interested about is Drew Aller, because we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. And for Drew Aller, it's like, could he actually be the future for Pittsburgh? And he's the Penn State kid. He's the local guy, right? Like, we kind of want it to happen. It's one of those great stories. And for Aller, that was a kid that was preseason top 10 a year ago. And then his stock just kind of plummeted. He still got picked in the 3rd round. But Tom Art, the quarterback coach of the Steelers, has watched this kid for years. In fact, he recruited him when he was a coach at Akron. And here's what he said about him.
Has rare size. He's, 6'5", 235 pounds. He has big hands. And I think what's most exciting, certainly when you're talking about the quarterback position, is can this guy throw the football? And I think he throws it as well as any quarterback, in this draft class.
And if that's true, then maybe Pittsburgh has their guy and they didn't have to spend a 1st-round pick on him. Drew Aller, to me, like, you could say he's ass, you could say he sucks, but how much of last year was just Penn State being a disaster? Drew Aller was good 2 years ago. Carson Beck was good 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden his stock went down from year to year. To me, this is so much about the team around these guys and less about the player. Something was amiss at Penn State. Was it Drew Aller's fault? I doubt it. You just heard what Tom Arth had to say about the guy. The same thing could be said for Cade Klubnik in Clemson. Was it truly his fault? And apparently Klubnik was playing hurt for most of the year. Cade Klubnik now gets a chance to go to the Jets. I doubt the Jets are going to be fully committed to him, but he might have a chance to play this year, and maybe he ends up winning the job outright and not making them have to pick a quarterback early next year. Even though a lot of people think Arch Manning's going to be the guy. The GM of the Jets talked about Cade Klubnik, who was hurt this year, by the way, and said this.
He got hurt early and was playing hurt much of the year, and that team kind of struggled, but was excited to get around him at the Combine. Had a great Combine interview, which kind of sparked us to want to get down to Clemson and work him out and spend some more time with him.
He is one of those kids you'll fall in love with. I sat with him at media days, and he's got the charisma, he's got the kindness, he's got the charm, he's got all of that. And I think he will fit in beautifully there. The Jets are just a damn mess, but they did draft well. They went out there. They got a nice defensive end, David Bailey. I think they might have had the best draft of all 32 teams. And I've never said that in recent memory about the New York Jets, ever. I don't think anybody has. So I think they got a good core. Is Klubnik the future quarterback? I think he'll have a shot. And he'll have a shot early this year at some point to be in the mix there. All right, couple of house cleaning things. Tomorrow, Full Ride is Wednesday. That is Mike Farrell Day. So Mike Farrell tomorrow, got him on. King Grump, you're not going to want to miss that. Little brass bonanza. A lot of good stuff. Baseball, softball, we'll be doing that on Full Ride, 9 o'clock to noon Eastern with Coach Neuheisel and I. But I wanted to tell a little story. I thought it would be fun on my podcast if I went a little behind the scenes and told about my life and stuff that I do with Rick Neuheisel and some of the behind the scenes. So you probably have heard, this is just a little story before we end the show. And I'm going to tell a lot of these over time because Rick and I have been together now for 11 years in May. Isn't that wild? We've been 11 years together and there's plenty of stories. But one of my favorites is when I went for the day to New York City to see him and his wife in New York at Sunset Boulevard. The show starring Nicole Scherzinger. There's a picture of me and Rick and Sue Neuheisel, Rick's wife. We're in front of the theater there and the stage door. You can see it off to the right and the banner there with Nicole Scherzinger and the cast of Sunset Boulevard. So I flew out in the morning time. Rick gave me a lot of hell for this. Because I flew out and I actually took Full Ride off. And he loves to give me shit when I take Full Ride off. He loves it. I'm a salaried employee. He's not a salaried employee. He works by the shift. So he doesn't get paid unless he works, even though he still makes a hell of a lot more than I do. But I get benefits. So he still is like, oh, well, if I take off, I don't get paid. Because he's just a jerk like that. So I was like, you know what? Screw you. I took off because I was dying to see this show. I had read all the reviews. I had watched the trailers. I had watched the clips on YouTube. I was dying to see Nicole Scherzinger in an Andrew Lloyd Webber show. So I go to New York for the day. And I get up at like 6 o'clock. I fly to New York. Rick's actually doing Full Ride when I get in. And I fly into New York. And then I get off the plane. I get on the train. I get into the city. I go to the Museum of Broadway, and then I'm waiting for the show. I get some lunch, and then I meet, and then Rick and Sue, because Rick had to do the show, they meet me at the theater. To watch Rick watch me that day, I wish he was here to tell the story. I think Rick had one of the greatest times of his life just watching me in my absolute element, okay? So the show starts, and I had been telling him for weeks, I got to see the show. Can we go see the show? So Sue goes and buys the tickets, and they're like 6th row. Rick likes to joke that during Nicole Scherzinger's big moment where she sings the song With One Look, we were sitting in the 6th row, but my neck was in the 4th row, and my head was in the 2nd. I mean, it was like, and there was tears. It was a scene. And then some, watching me watch Nicole Scherzinger. So Rick is just like staring at me and he's just giggling the entire time. Then, and I will share, I think I can actually show this because I took this on my phone at the end of the show. They don't mind if you get the bows. So this was the end of the show. And so I was just absolutely dead at that moment. And Rick is just like, I'm crying There's tears streaming. I got my hands. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my, like I'm going, and Rick is just looking at me, giggling. And then he's wondering, as soon as they get off stage, he's like, where did Childers go? I had run to the stage door outside so I could try to get up close to get a picture with Nicole Scherzinger. But it was just one of those great moments. And then, so the show ends. Rick gets a kick out of watching me do all this. Then it's time for me to go home. I went to the airport. I flew home, got to my car, got home at like 10 o'clock at night. And that was my day with the new Heisels in New York City. All right. More of those stories over the next couple of weeks. I'll tell you some behind the scenes on Full Ride, but it's time for me to get some dinner. It's time to say goodbye. Go on my website, subscribe to my newsletter for free. Go check that out, showponymedia.com. I forgot to put this up. Andrew Lloyd Webber really does give me the feels. You ever want a good time or maybe just an interesting time? Come with me to a show that he's done, and you will laugh at my emotions. I promise you. All right. Showponymedia.com. Thank you, everybody. Love you. Go subscribe. It is Show Pony Live. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.